Hello, She Did It community. Here we are this Wednesday. It's 7 p.m. and we are here in our web series where we introduce a woman that has done it. And I'm so happy today. So first of all, we're here live on Facebook Live. And every Wednesday we do this and we introduce a wonderful woman that has done it. And so it's to inspire you and motivate you to take the leap of faith into starting or growing your business. So the movement has been created by Kareen Addisted, and it's her mission to help female entrepreneurs connect and grow both personally and professionally. So I'm so excited here today to introduce to you. So this is Karen Potter, and she's very passionate about working with women over 45 to show them how to fuel their body and brain to feel their most radiant, fired up selves and be ready to show up in the world with more energy, added confidence, better mental focus, greater happiness. Wow, count me in, Karen. Feeling awesome in their body, the feeling of being more resilient and better able to handle everything that life throws at them. So Karen, I'm so happy to have you here. So tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. Well, I feel like you just said it all. Yeah. So yeah, I'm a holistic nutritionist and wellness coach. And yeah, I'm passionate about helping women over 45 to really regain their energy, feel great in their body, and love their life. And that was quite a list of things that you said, but really it is a cascade of things happen when we fuel ourselves with the right food, as well as the other ingredients that I always talk about, a recipe to feeling your best self. And my recipe is nutrition, stress management, movement, and mindset. And all four of those ingredients are so important to feeling radiant, to feeling our absolute best.
It's not only one thing. So how long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this for just over 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did you know that you were destined to be an entrepreneur?
Right. Well, actually, my father was an entrepreneur, but I didn't start out that way. I worked in the financial industry. So I was 10 years in banking and 13 years as a mortgage broker. But throughout that time, in fact, almost 30 years, I dealt with IBS and severe bouts of anxiety and depression.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
suicidal depression. And, it wasn't until by chance I met a nutritionist myself, started changing my food, and then started, mindfulness. So learning more stress management techniques, that I was really able to help and better manage my IBS, but at the same time, it helped my brain. So, I was able to really, to really help my anxiety and bouts of depression. So yeah, it just became my passion, really. It became everything that I was interested in. So I decided to take the leap from what I was doing. I knew I loved helping people, but I just decided that I wanted to do that in the capacity that was more my passion.
wow, that's awesome. And yes, it's amazing how me too I feel like when sometimes I eat different food and makes me feel different. And as I get older, I
Mhm.
seem to be more sensitive to those kind of things. So,
Yes.
wow. So,
And that's really why I have chosen, an older demographic, because one, I'm in that demographic, I'm 54, but also because, as you said, it's in our 40s really that we start to realize we can't do what we used to do and feel the same, right?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would add that maybe another benefit of eating well is looking young because you do look younger than
Oh,
55.
thank you.
So what was, how do you define success, and what is the key ingredient to your success right now?
Right. Well, and that is, very subjective, I feel, to the individual, right? Because success for one individual might be a dollar figure. And I'm not guided that way. For me, success is really feeling happy, feeling fulfilled in what I'm doing, but ready to move to the next stage as well. I feel successful, when I'm doing different things, when I have clients that are happy and referring me to other people. It's really, for me, it's happiness and fulfillment.
That's amazing, because more and more that's what I'm hearing, that a measurement of success is happiness,
Yeah.
and for but like, yeah, it's not just the money. The money
Right.
comes, and you have to have the money, but to have a sustainable business and to continue
Yeah.
what you do. But that's a key. Yeah, that's a key measurement for sure.
Right.
Um, so then, do you like, so that's happiness is one way to measure, but do you also have other measurements, like when you talk about metrics? Do you have, with respect to your clients and with respect to even revenue and things like that, do you have metrics in place for those kind of things?
Yeah, so I would say it's, obviously it's very important to set your goals and keep track of, your numbers and all the measurements that you want,
Yes.
to know that you've met your goals. That's very important. We have to build in some flexibility. For example, this year, it turned out very different than, what we planned at the beginning of the year. So,
Yes.
I mean, we do need to be flexible. I think one of the biggest things for me is, to have this isn't really an answer for success, but it's, I really think it's so important to have a growth mindset and a love of learning, because if nothing else, COVID has definitely, forced us to really learn how to do things differently, right? Like even just technology alone, we've had to learn to do
My
so many
God.
things that we weren't doing before, right? So, and, sometimes I say, oh, shoot, I've got to figure this out, or I've got to do this. But in general, I think it's just, we want to be willing to, to embrace it and to just, acknowledge that you don't know everything, but that you're in the position to, to figure things out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, yeah, if we can look at some of the good stuff about COVID, is that it has created different opportunities. It has also giving us an opportunity to be creative, for people to accept technology.
Yeah.
Even for myself as a coach, I used to drive, sometimes to different sections of the city just
Yeah.
to meet clients and things like that. Now I stay home, and
Right.
one of the benefits is that I do coach more people, in a way, but also the clients have been accustomed now. People are used
Right.
to this technology and things like that.
Yes.
So for you, like with your clients and yourself, did you find that you had to make a big shift though, for your business?
Oh, yeah, yeah. So, one of the things that I love doing in my business, I love group coaching, or I love being around a group of women, and I love that energy. So one of my favorite things was I hold a 3-day retreat up north in Halliburton, and at my cottage actually, and it is, it covers the things I talked about before, the nutrition, the movement, stress management, and mindset. So it's really like a reset weekend, and
Wow.
I love doing that. I love hosting that. And so, I can't wait until I can do that again, right?
Mhm.
So that's, that's certainly one, well, a couple things that have changed in that regard. But yeah, as you said, I've had to be more creative. So it got me doing more Facebook Lives um, and food demonstration lives and just different things like that. And so, of course, my one-on-one coaching, as you mentioned, has now gone virtual.
Yes.
And I'm doing more online retreats and coming out with master classes as well as an online program. So yeah, a lot of, a lot of things have definitely changed. Yeah.
That's awesome. So for the retreat then, so is it also like a 3-day retreat that you do still or?
Oh, what I'm doing virtually?
Yes.
Yeah, no. So I did what I used to do is the 3-day retreat up north. I
Yes.
also did a 1-day retreat more locally.
Okay.
So what I've been doing virtually online is 3.5 hours, and I would sort of it's similar to the 1-day retreat, just condensed, right? So
Okay.
you don't get, it's very different, obviously, when you go
Yes.
away to somewhere, you know, somewhere scenic, and
That's right.
it's a totally different feeling. But I wanted to capture some of that and some of the learning and, everything that was involved with it. So yeah, so that's what I was doing with the online retreats.
So have you had any opportunity though to have the retreat in Halliburton to like with it, but would it be a lot too much process and following guidelines and all this?
Yeah, I've had a few people that have said to me, "Oh, you can do it," or women that have said, "I really want to get away, and I really would like to do it." But yeah, I'm not quite ready to do that yet. And
Yeah.
I've had someone that said to me, everyone would have to have a COVID test, and I'm just not
It's
sure that.
yeah.
Yeah, but, but I
That
mean, as soon as I can comfortably, I definitely want to go back to doing that.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
well, we'll have to go and look at the online retreat then and what
yeah,
it's all about.
yeah.
So do you believe there is a winning formula for becoming a successful entrepreneur? And what is yours?
Yeah, so I talked about a few things. I made some notes before. A winning formula. Just what I mentioned before about, that growth mindset, really being able to, continue learning. I do believe in investing in myself. So, in many different areas, I've gotten more into public speaking. And so, have really put myself out there. I hired a media coach. So, I've done, some TV segments. So again, it's really just being out there. But I think that the key formula is really having a passion, um, you know, really having the drive. So you
Hmm.
can have a passion, but without the drive, it's just a hobby, right? So you really need to have the drive and the willingness to put yourself out there. Be willing to fail, because failure is really, how we're going to learn, right? So
Exactly.
yeah,
That's so important that, yeah, not having that fear or that doubt and just,
right,
doing it because failure is a teaching instrument for us. It teaches us and then it helps us to even sometimes pivot or do something else or to be able to
exactly,
recognize it that, hey, this is a lesson.
right.
And,
And
and also,
try not to see it. I mean, and you do initially, but try
yes.
not to see it as a failure, but an opportunity to grow or pivot, as you said, in a different direction.
Yeah, exactly. And the passion is so important,
Important. Yeah,
right? And because then it shows up when you show up, and
right.
and finding that passion is so important.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, when I was thinking about it earlier, what I really believe is so important, what I believe for myself is really being authentic,
Mm-hmm.
empathic, and empowering. So I'm always very authentic and vulnerable about, what I have dealt with, like I mentioned, the IBS and anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
I'm always very transparent and authentic when I'm talking to women. I'm very empathic. That's just something, I've always been that way. I was the kid when my brother or sister were getting yelled at. I felt just as bad. I think that's where my empathy started very young. Whereas some kids, the brother or sister getting in trouble and they're like, yeah,
Yes.
happy about it. I never was. I felt just as upset. But also, and so that empathy has helped me in
Mm-hmm.
dealing with my clients, but also empowering. So I really believe in, um, empowering women to know how to feel their best. So it's not just me prescribing, do this and don't do this. And, I really like to give impart the knowledge and awareness and reasons why we want to do things. So I really think it's empowering others.
Yeah, and that's so important because sometimes people don't know that they have something in them, and it's to help them do that little push, or even,
Right.
your own story. But having empathy is a great gift for coaches, especially. But sometimes we have to learn how to manage it for ourselves as well, because then we
Yes.
take on too much.
Yes.
So, I see a comment there in the chat. Somebody wants to know what lake is your cottage on? Is in
Oh,
Halliburton.
okay. Yes, we're on a 5 lake chain. And the reason I'm saying that is because our lake is quite small. It's called Grass Lake,
Okay.
but it's attached to Head Lake, which is right in the town of Halliburton. We're like a 5-minute drive from the town of Halliburton.
Oh, cool. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll go there one day. So,
Yeah.
so we talked a bit about failures and things like that. So, can you share some of the failures and the best lessons that you have learned
Mhm.
from them?
Yeah, I was trying to think of something big, and I'm sure I do have them. I'm very sure I do. It just wasn't coming to me. But really, I mean, you know, things that I would think of immediately as failures are, planning an event and then, having very small numbers, right? I think we've
Mm-hmm.
all
Oh,
experienced
yes.
that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, in initially it's the upset of thinking, oh, I've only got, two people coming to this, right? And so, of course, there's the monetary factor, right? But aside from that, to me, it's like how does this look for the participants, right? But I look at it and I always preface it at the beginning of an event, um,
Mm-hmm.
and say, regardless of whether I have 2 people to this or 10 people to this, I am serving, and there's a reason that there's 2 people here, and maybe it's so they get more of me, so that they get more individual attention. And so I try not to look at it as a failure. It also might be the messaging, right, that you're putting out, or that
Yes.
I've put out. So maybe it's just I need to change my messaging a little bit, so that I have a better idea of how I can attract my ideal client. So that's the first thing that comes to my mind. I'm sure there's been many others, but that's what I immediately think of.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and like you say, it's to look for the lessons learned, like how do I deal? And I was in the same situation too, where I only had two people register, and I said, okay, do I go on or not? And then I said, no,
yeah,
those people, I'm going to be there for I'm going to show up for them. And we ended up, I was so glad we ended up having the best time, the best.
yeah,
It was a lot of fun,
yeah.
and initially my mind was I was going to have more than that, maybe even maybe 6 or 10, but just the
Hmm.
two, it had a
Yeah,
different dynamic. So
yeah,
and it's always good to serve the people that are there as yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, sure, we'd like to sell out everything, right? But
yes,
that
yes,
just doesn't realistically happen. So we just have to look at it and say, what can I do, differently next time? But also that,
exactly.
maybe it was meant to be like that. And, just how can you maybe do things differently next time? But try not to look at it as a failure, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's always, adjusting and, trying to do something a little bit better. And it keeps us on our toes. And this is where they're learning and,
Yes.
and things like that. So,
Yeah.
so what do you think successful women have in common?
Yeah, and we've kind of talked about that, that as well. But it's really, willing to learn, willing to, I mean, you have to be somebody that wants to help other people, right?
Yes, yes.
If you're in a service type industry,
Yeah.
but you really need to, um, yeah, follow your passion, have the drive, be willing to, put yourself out there and, and meet other people. So go to network events, even if you're, going initially as a guest for free, just get out
Yeah.
there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And even, the free stuff or, even giving a bit of yourself or
Hmm.
going out there, talking to people, the networking.
Yeah.
And this is where you get more engagement as well.
Right. And
So,
and yeah, even the things that you can do for free, like if you were just starting, setting up your Facebook business page, starting to do Facebook lives and posting on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. They're all free. And then also you can even set up a free I think MailChimp is the only free one. I'm not 100% sure, but set up something like MailChimp where you can start getting people's email addresses and then email out to them periodically. So just there's a whole bunch of free things that you can do to put your name and your business in front of other people.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Actually, I
Mhm.
have a question here in the Fox here. Sorry, in the Fox in the chat on the live. Somebody's asking, "How are you networking now beyond social media, or are you?"
Oh, yeah. I belong to a number of different network groups, and they're all online now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it is a little bit different. You don't
yeah,
have quite the same conversation. So I'm dying to get back to in person. But yeah, most of the network groups are doing, are still doing them online. So what I found the difference is that when they are online, I have to make the special effort of then contacting women after the fact, right?
yes,
So I've got a lot more Zoom and phone call follow ups. Whereas before, I could have chatted more at the event itself, right?
exactly.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
now I find I have to make an effort a bit differently.
And I think it's important to do that effort to I think this is what's going to take you to the next level with those relationships. And this was a bit of my a second question, another question would be like, how do you develop those key relationships? So you need to nurture them. Yes, it's nice to go to those events, even virtually, but you have to do an extra step, right?
Yes, exactly. As I said, I feel even more so than we did before, right? You've
Oh,
got to
yeah.
take that extra step. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
sure. Yeah.
Oh, and Karen is saying in the live chat that another email platform is SendFox. Actually, that's the one that she did it. Community uses, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, so that's another one that we can use.
Yeah.
So now let's talk a little bit about money. So how do you get funded, and what are the creative strategies do you use to execute? If you are operating on minimal cash flow.
Right. So that kind of feeds into what we were just talking about too, really.
Yeah,
It's just I believe just taking advantage of the things that you can do for free, before you're spending a lot of money, right? So sometimes we think, especially when you're first starting, you think, oh, I can't possibly do this. I know, because I felt the same. I can't possibly put myself out there until I've got my business cards, until I've got my website, until I've got this and that and the next thing. But you know what? Those things, as I have evolved, I've changed my website. I've got different business cards. So it all changes. And just to take it back, you don't need to have those things to really start putting yourself out there. You can put you can fill out your profile on your Facebook business page,
yeah,
and Instagram, and then you start putting out the content, and people get to know you. Yeah.
yeah.
So in terms of other creative ideas, I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. Yeah, and I mean, sometimes you do. I find with myself, I make the investment in myself,
Mm-hmm.
because by making that investment in myself, I can take myself to the next level where I'm bringing in a better income.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's just, kind of looking at the flip side of doing things for free.
Yeah, exactly. And you touch on a good point here that when we start business, some people want everything to be perfect. Oh, I have to have the perfect website. I have to have the perfect
Mm.
cards, the perfect product. All
Yeah,
you need to start is to have, you need client, you need a product, and you need a way for them to pay, like PayPal or
yeah,
something.
yeah,
If you can start with those three things, then as the the income starts generating, then you can
yeah.
invest in other tools and stuff like
Yeah.
that,
But
right?
even if you have to start with doing an e-transfer, right? Even before you do PayPal, I mean,
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So there are a lot of great tools to start, with nothing type
Hmm.
of thing. No money, as long as you do have that product. And
Right.
actually, there's a question here in the chat. It says, "Do you have any passive income products? And if so, do you have a large email list to sell?" It takes so long to build an email list.
Uh, yes and no. I mean, so your email list can start out with your friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, it just, the more you're putting yourself out on social media and making connections that way, and connections with referral groups, you can really start to grow that email list. Mine is not huge. My email list right now is about 800 people. And yeah, what was the other part of that question? Oh, passive income. So I will have my online program, which will be up and running within the next month. Um, but outside of that, I do have a couple products that are in my back pocket, that if I'm consulting with a client who I feel would benefit from them, I might recommend them. But they're not things that I really push out there, because I still feel, that I'm the product and the service. So that's, to me, what's more important to get out to people than I'm selling this or I'm selling that. But that's just how I work,
Yes.
how I operate. Yeah.
Yeah, and no, and that's awesome. But that, sometimes though, when we do have like either ebook or a little product that we can put in on a website
Yeah.
to help out people even more. But
Yes. You
yeah,
just reminded me, actually, I was part of a book project, and it just came out last month, just like a week or two ago.
okay.
And so that's another thing. I haven't done it yet, but I need to get it up on my website, because I can be, I can be selling the book from my website. So that's
That's
another
awesome.
course, right? Yeah.
So, wow, you sound like you are a great product, and you seem to also, you portray health and all this, like just,
Right, because I really live it
mhm,
myself, right? The way I teach my clients to cook and prepare food is the way I eat myself.
mhm,
So yeah, and as I said, because of what I had been through health wise, I have made that self care for myself really non negotiable. Now,
mhm.
there's the odd time where I've got something like an event in the morning where I can't get my exercise in, right? But
Yep.
it's almost always so habitual for me, the eating and the exercise and my morning ritual, including meditation and whatnot. Like, those things are so important to me that it's just ingrained in me that I do them. So yeah, I really do myself what I teach my clients.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And yes, and habits are so important. I'm learning that as well.
Yeah.
So this was great, Karen. I really, really enjoyed learning more about you, and I want to know more. So I'm going to be going and looking for those your contacts and all this. So where can people reach you?
Sure. So my website is karenporter.ca. So really easy, just traditional spelling, my name, karenporter.ca.
All
Uh,
right.
my Facebook business page, you can also just do karenporter.ca.
Okay.
And my Instagram is Karen Porter Holistic Health Coach.
All right.
That's the only one that's a bit more of a stretch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
LinkedIn is Karen Porter. So
there, oh, that's awesome. So we can, yeah, definitely look you up.
yeah.
So do you have any parting words for our community at the She Did It here?
Parting words. For business, for entrepreneurial, just keep on pushing. Once you find what you like to do, just keep at it.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, one of the things that's very important to me is really developing myself. So I will, I'm careful of the things that I put into my brain. So,
Yeah.
we just, we kind of don't really realize, because it's part of everyday life, but it's just so easy to be sitting on our phones and looking, at social media. And, there's so many time wasters that we have. And
Oh, yes.
there's so much negativity that really, for me, setting up my morning ritual really starts my day
Mm-hmm.
on the right trajectory. I tell, especially women that come to my retreats, or, most of the things, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I put my hand on my heart, or sometimes I may not put my hand on my heart, but I always say, good morning. I love you,
Oh,
Karen. It's going to be a great day.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. thank you so much. So we're all going to wake up in the morning with our hand on our heart, and we'll be thanking you as well, and
And,
say good morning.
and don't forget to say, I love you with your name. And then, it's going to be a great day. Or even if you don't, it's going to be a good day,
Yeah.
because when you're giving yourself a positive affirmation that you love you and that it's going to be a great day before we put any negativity in, right?
I'm so with you, Karen, and I truly believe in that as well. So that's awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Karen. And I look forward to hooking with you again, and on social media and things like that. So thank you. So thank you, She Did It community. Thank you for the people that would be, that was here listening to our live. So we'll see you again.
Thanks for having me.
Have a good night. All right, stay there, Karen. I just okay. uh, oh, if you want it this live.